The Friday evening sunlight reflected off the windows of the white two-story house in the Sunnyvale district on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Linda Harrison was preparing dinner in the kitchen while watching her daughter Emma do homework at the dining table. Linda worked as a nurse while striving to perfectly manage her family's care. For the 10 years since their marriage, family had been the center of her life. "Mom, I don't understand this math problem." 8-year-old Emma looked up at Linda with a troubled expression. Her adorable daughter with golden braids was Linda's treasure. Emma's blue eyes were exactly like her husband Mike's, and the little dimples she showed when laughing were also inherited from her father. "Let me see what you've got there." Linda wiped her hands and sat next to Emma. While working through the fraction problem together, she was once again impressed by her daughter's quick understanding. Emma was good at both studying and sports, and was often praised by her teachers at school. The sound of the front door opening echoed, followed by Mike's cheerful voice. "I'm home, everyone." Mike was an insurance agency salesman with an excellent reputation in the region. Tall with neatly styled brown hair, he was a likable man who never lost his smile. The neighbors often described him as the perfect husband, the perfect father, and Linda was proud of that. "Dad, welcome home." Emma dropped her homework and ran to Mike. Mike lifted his daughter high and spun her around. Emma's joyful laughter filled the living room. "I have good news today," Mike said as he set Emma down. "How about we go camping as a family for the first time in a while? I found a wonderful campground in the Sierra Nevada mountains for next weekend." Linda's face brightened. When they were first married, they frequently enjoyed camping and hiking, but lately, with work keeping them busy, they hadn't been able to find much family time. "Really? That's wonderful. Emma will be thrilled." "Yay! I love camping. Can we roast marshmallows?" At Emma's excited voice, Mike and Linda looked at each other and smiled. At the dinner table, Mike talked in detail about the camping plans. It was a quiet place deep in the mountains called Pine Ridge Campground, with a lake where they could also enjoy fishing. "I'll prepare everything. I'll rent a new tent and get all the barbecue supplies. Don't forget the bug spray," Linda added. "There are lots of mosquitoes in the mountains." "Of course. Actually, a friend recommended a new bug spray to me. It's supposed to be very effective." For a moment, Mike's eyes seemed to flash, but Linda didn't pay particular attention to it. That night, after putting Emma to bed, Linda and Mike sat side by side on the sofa, relaxing while watching TV. Mike's arm naturally wrapped around Linda's shoulders. "It'll be nice to have some family time together after so long," Linda said, resting her head against Mike's chest. "Yes. Lately both you and I have been so busy, Emma might have been feeling lonely." Mike's voice was filled with tenderness. After 10 years of marriage, it was true that they had often been caught up in daily busyness, but Linda believed their fundamental love hadn't changed. Mike was an ideal husband and the best father for Emma. "I'll help with the camping preparations." "No, this time I'll do everything. I want you to relax." Linda felt happy at Mike's kind words. She realized anew how blessed she was. A loving husband, an adorable daughter, stable work, and a beautiful home. What more could she wish for? From the next day, Mike enthusiastically began preparing for the camping trip. He pulled out a large cooler, tent, and sleeping bags from the garage, checking them carefully. When Linda tried to help, Mike gently declined. "It's okay, leave everything to me. You're tired from your nursing work, so just rest." By Friday night, all the preparations were complete. The car was packed full of camping gear, and Mike gazed at it with satisfaction. "Let's leave early tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to breathing the mountain air." Linda and Emma were also filled with anticipation. At 6 o'clock Saturday morning, the Harrison family departed while it was still dim. Mike sat in the driver's seat while Linda checked the map in the passenger seat. Emma in the back seat had woken up early from excitement and continued chatting happily while looking at the scenery flowing past the car window. "Dad, aren't we there yet?" "Just a little longer, Emma. Mountain roads take time." Mike's voice was calm, but Linda felt through the rearview mirror that his expression looked somewhat tense. 2 hours had already passed since they left the highway, but Pine Ridge Campground was still nowhere to be seen. "Are we really going the right way?" Linda asked, looking at the map again. "It's fine, my friend gave me detailed directions." Mike answered confidently, but the road kept getting narrower and changed to an unpaved gravel road. They were surrounded by deep forest, and they hadn't passed another car for over an hour. They were deep in the mountains where cell phone signals didn't reach. Around 10 in the morning, they finally saw a small sign. It was an old wooden sign with "Pine Ridge Campground" written by hand. Rather than a campground, it gave the impression of a small clearing in the forest, with no management office building in sight. "Is this it?" Linda murmured somewhat anxiously. "A quiet place away from people is perfect. We can enjoy private camping." Mike answered brightly while stopping the car. The scenery was indeed beautiful, with a clear small lake visible beyond the forest. The air was also clean, like a completely different world away from the city's hustle and bustle. While Mike set up the tent by himself, Linda and Emma took a walk along the lakeshore. Emma enjoyed skipping stones on the water, and Linda felt her heart healed by the great outdoors after so long. It was truly a quiet place where nothing could be heard except bird songs and the sound of wind. "Mom, do you think there are fish?" "There might be. Dad brought fishing gear, so let's fish together later." When mother and daughter returned to the campsite, Mike had already finished the tent and prepared the barbecue. Linda was impressed by his skillfulness. "Excellent. It reminds me of the old days." Before marriage, the two had often enjoyed camping and hiking together. Mike's outdoor skills had been high even then, giving Linda peace of mind. They had simple sandwiches for lunch and enjoyed fishing at the lake as a family in the afternoon. Emma caught a small fish by herself for the first time and was overjoyed. When Mike carefully removed the fish and returned it to the lake, Emma clapped her hands happily. "Next time I'll catch a big fish." "That's right. But even small fish are precious lives, so we have to treat them gently." At Mike's fatherly words, Linda felt proud of her husband once again. For Emma, Mike was an ideal father. In the evening, Mike started the barbecue. The aroma of steaks and sausages grilling over the flames was appetizing. Emma helped gather firewood, and Linda prepared the salad. The collaborative work of the three family members was a luxurious time they hadn't had in a while. "Delicious," Emma said while biting into a freshly grilled sausage. "Dad's cooking is the best," Linda smiled too. After dinner, many stars began to shine in the sky. It was a starry sky that could never be seen in urban areas. When Mike turned off the flashlight he had brought, the Milky Way was clearly visible. "Wow, it's beautiful," Emma gasped. "That bright star is Venus," Mike explained, pointing. "That constellation over there is the Big Dipper." The three family members lay on a leisure sheet, spending peaceful time gazing at the starry sky. The sounds of insects resonated like comfortable background music. "We need to treasure times like this," Linda said quietly. "Yes. We're usually too busy." Mike's response seemed to contain some deeper meaning. Around 9 o'clock, Emma began to look sleepy. Mike carried Emma to the tent, and Linda prepared the sleeping bags. The mountain night was colder than expected, and Linda put on a thick sweater. "Where's the bug spray?" Linda asked. Mike's expression changed for a moment. "Oh no, I forgot. I'll go get it from the car." "I'll come with you." "No, you and Emma rest first. I'll be right back." Mike took the flashlight and headed alone to the parking area. Linda felt somewhat uneasy but didn't think deeply about it. Certainly, mountain nights had many insects, and bug protection was necessary. Inside the tent, Emma was already in deep sleep. Linda was also overcome by drowsiness while waiting for Mike's return. She could hear an owl hooting in the distance, and the wind gently swayed the tent. Mike returned 30 minutes later. "Did you find the bug spray?" "Yes, I found it. But you both look sleepy already, so let's use it tomorrow morning." Mike seemed to be holding some small bottle, but it was hard to see clearly in the darkness. He also got into his sleeping bag, and the family of 3 fell asleep in the mountain silence. During the night, Linda woke up several times. She could hear small fluttering sounds outside the tent. It seemed like swarms of mosquitoes. Half asleep, she waved her hand around her face. Emma also occasionally stirred but seemed to continue sleeping deeply. When morning came, Linda woke up due to itching all over her body. Her arms, legs, and neck had countless red welts. She hurriedly checked Emma, and her daughter was in the same condition. She had more bug bites on her face, hands, and feet than Linda had ever seen. "Mike, wake up," Linda shook her husband awake. When Mike slowly opened his eyes, Linda was surprised. Mike's skin had absolutely no bug bites. Not a single one. "What's wrong?" "Bug bites. Both Emma and I have so many." Mike showed a surprised expression, but to Linda it felt somewhat like acting. "I wasn't bitten at all." "Strange." Emma woke up crying. "Mom, it itches. It itches so much." Her daughter's face was swollen, painful to look at. Linda hurried to give first aid, but she had never seen so many bug bites before. Even with her experience as a nurse, these didn't seem like ordinary mosquito bite marks. "Let's go home right away. I'm worried about Emma's condition." Mike showed a somewhat bewildered expression, but was pushed into starting to pack up by Linda's strong tone. While hurriedly loading the tent and camping gear into the car, Linda continued to feel uneasy about her husband's behavior. Why was Mike the only one not bitten by insects? Why did he go to get bug spray from the car but end up not using it? In the car on the way home, Emma continued crying from the itching. Linda was also enduring the itching all over her body while comforting her daughter. Mike seemed to be concentrating on driving, but occasionally checked on his wife and daughter through the rearview mirror. That gaze seemed to contain some emotion other than worry. "Let's stop at the hospital," Linda suggested. "Isn't it okay? We can just buy ointment at the pharmacy." "No, this isn't normal. Look at Emma's face. This kind of swelling is abnormal." In the end, at Linda's judgment, they decided to stop at the emergency room of St. Mary's Hospital on the way home. When they arrived at the hospital, Linda and Emma's bug bites had worsened further. Emma's face was so swollen she could barely open her eyes. The nurse at reception saw their condition and immediately guided them to an examination room. "What on earth happened?" At the surprised voice of the reception nurse, other patients in the waiting room also turned around. Linda was more worried about her daughter's condition than embarrassed. "We were bitten by insects while camping. But I never expected it to become this severe." Mike said he would wait in the car in the parking lot, so only Linda and Emma entered the hospital. Linda wondered at that time why her husband didn't want to come along, but Emma's condition was serious and she didn't have the mental space to think deeply about it. In the examination room, Dr. Johnson, the attending physician, was waiting. He was an experienced doctor in his mid-50s with over 20 years of experience in emergency care. However, when he saw Linda and Emma's condition, his expression was clearly puzzled. "These aren't ordinary bug bites." Dr. Johnson began his examination carefully. "When did these symptoms start?" "This morning when we woke up at the campground, we were already in this condition." The doctor carefully observed the bug bite marks on Linda and Emma's arms, legs, and necks. He examined them closely with a magnifying glass, occasionally showing a serious expression. The number of bite marks is abnormally high. And the swelling is different from ordinary mosquitoes. The doctor ordered blood tests from the nurse. There's a possibility of an allergic reaction, but let's examine this thoroughly just to be safe. Emma continued crying from the itching and swelling. Linda held her daughter's hand while enduring the intense itching all over her body. Even with Linda's nursing experience, she had never seen such severe bug bites. Were there other people who went camping with you? My husband was there. But my husband wasn't bitten at all. Dr. Johnson's eyebrows moved slightly. That's also unnatural. You slept in the same place, so why were only you two? While waiting for the blood test results, the doctor continued more detailed questioning. He checked one by one about the campground location, the bug spray used, food eaten, and water drunk. Did you use bug spray? My husband had prepared a new one, but we ended up not using it. He went to the car to get it at night, but said we looked sleepy, so we would use it the next morning. The doctor's expression became even more serious. Could we see that spray? I think it's in the car. I'll ask my husband. Linda tried to contact Mike on her cell phone, but the signal was still poor and wouldn't connect. 30 minutes later, the blood test results came out. Dr. Johnson looked at the test results and was clearly agitated. After quietly discussing something with the nurse, he sat in front of Linda again. I'll explain the test results. The doctor's voice had become heavier than before. Chemical substances that would normally be unthinkable have been detected in your blood. Chemical substances. This wasn't caused by bug bites. There are traces of some toxic substance entering your body through the skin. Linda's face turned pale. Poison. What does that mean? Detailed analysis is needed, but this is most likely an intentionally created compound. It's not natural insect venom. The doctor stood up and closed the examination room door. Then he sat directly in front of Linda again. This is very difficult to say, but I must ask. Who did you go camping with? My husband, Linda answered in confusion. The doctor took a deep breath. His expression was one that Linda had seen while working as a nurse, the expression doctors have when telling family members of patients about serious diagnoses. Please go to the police immediately. The doctor's low voice echoed in the examination room. Linda momentarily doubted her ears. Police? Why? The detected substance is artificially concentrated insecticide components. This was not an accident. It was intentionally used against you and your daughter. Linda's heart began beating violently. Her head went blank, and she couldn't understand what was happening. But surely my husband wouldn't try to. I'm sorry, but considering the circumstances, there's no other explanation. It's too unnatural that your husband alone was unharmed when you were in the same place. The doctor offered to contact the police, but Linda was confused. She couldn't believe that the husband she had lived with for 10 years would try to poison her and their daughter. Please check the test results again. Isn't there some mistake? Unfortunately, there's no mistake in the test results. This substance isn't commercially available and couldn't be made without specialized knowledge. The involvement of someone with a pharmaceutical background is suspected. At that moment, a memory surfaced in Linda's mind. She remembered that 6 months ago, Mike had talked about a new friend. She had heard that friend was a pharmacist. Her name was Jessica. If this is really true, then why? Linda's voice was trembling. That's for the police to investigate. In any case, your and your daughter's safety is the top priority. The doctor instructed the nurse to continue treatment and began preparing to report to the police. In her confusion, Linda was looking back on her husband's recent behavior. His recent increase in overtime, how he had started carrying his cell phone with him at all times, his sudden suggestion of this camping trip, and his unnatural behavior regarding the bug spray. "Mom, what's wrong?" Emma looked up at Linda with concern. "It's okay, Emma. The doctor will make you all better." Linda held her daughter while desperately trying to understand what was happening to them. Accepting the reality that the husband she believed she loved had actually been targeting their lives was far too difficult. The doctor contacted hospital security to take measures to ensure Linda and Emma's safety. At the same time, a report was made to the police. The longest night of Linda's life was about to begin. Judging from the amount of poison detected, if treatment had been delayed, there would have been life-threatening danger. The doctor's final words were deeply etched in Linda's heart. She and her daughter had been saved from the brink of death. The interrogation room at the police station was cold, with white fluorescent light illuminating Linda's exhausted face. Her daughter Emma was receiving treatment at the hospital, and Linda was alone answering questions from the detectives. Chief Detective Rodriguez was a veteran with 25 years of experience, an experienced investigator who had handled many domestic cases. "Mrs. Harrison, has there been anything different about your husband Mike recently?" Linda answered while holding a coffee cup with trembling hands. "He's been working overtime more and started carrying his cell phone with him all the time. But I thought it was because work was busy." "Were there any new people in his friendships? Especially women?" Linda's heart jumped. "About 6 months ago, he started talking often about a friend named Jessica who's a pharmacist. I heard she was a work-related acquaintance." Detective Rodriguez and his partner Detective Thompson exchanged meaningful glances. "Could you give us detailed information about this person?" While Linda provided what information she knew, another investigation team was tracking Mike's whereabouts. However, Mike had disappeared from the hospital parking lot, his cell phone was turned off, and he hadn't returned home. 2 hours later, there was progress in the investigation. Important information came from Mike's workplace, the insurance company. Mike had been taking out multiple high-value life insurance policies with Linda as the beneficiary for the past 3 months. The total amount reached $3 million. $3 million. Linda muttered in disbelief. "I have no memory of taking out such insurance." "It appears your husband handled the procedures as your representative. According to the insurance company's records, your signature may also have been forged." Further investigation also revealed that Mike's bank account had suspicious large expenditures. Over the past 6 months, unexplained cash withdrawals had been made frequently. By evening, there was a major development. Jessica Parker, a 29-year-old pharmacist, was apprehended by police at her apartment in the city. Chemical drugs and laboratory equipment believed to have been used for poison manufacturing were discovered in her apartment. Jessica's statement during interrogation brought further shock to Linda. "I've been in a relationship with Mike for a year," Jessica answered calmly. "He said he was proceeding with divorce procedures." "Divorce?" Linda was stunned. Mike had never once discussed divorce with her. Detective Rodriguez continued the explanation. "Jessica Parker is raising a child alone, a 3-year-old, and that child's father is Mike Harrison. Furthermore, she is currently 6 months pregnant, and this is also Mike's child." Linda felt like she could hear the sound of her world crumbling. During 10 years of marriage, her husband had had a mistress and had already had children with her. And he had conspired with that mistress to try to kill her and their daughter. "Why?" Linda's voice was hoarse. "Why would you do such a thing?" According to Jessica's statement, Mike had also targeted the property Linda inherited from her parents. Linda's parents had died in a traffic accident 5 years ago, and the real estate and stocks she inherited at that time were worth nearly $2 million. Mike had planned to obtain those assets after his wife's death. Combined with the insurance money and inherited property, it amounts to over $5 million, Detective Thompson explained. Mike and Jessica intended to start a new life with that money. Late at night, Mike was finally arrested. He had been hiding in a motel in the neighboring town, but his location was discovered through Jessica's confession. At the moment of arrest, Mike didn't resist, as if he had given up. The next morning, Linda requested a meeting with Mike. The police opposed it for safety reasons, but at Linda's strong request, a short meeting was permitted under strict surveillance. Through the glass of the visiting room was the figure of the husband she had loved for 10 years. However, that face looked completely different from the Mike Linda knew. "Why?" Linda asked quietly. "Emma is your daughter." Mike was silent for a long time. Eventually, he raised his face. "I'm sorry, Linda. I was a weak person. That's all. Were 10 years of marriage only worth that much? There was a time when I loved you. But when I met Jessica, everything changed. Being with her felt like a new life was beginning." "What about Emma? Was your love for our daughter also a lie?" Mike couldn't answer. That silence was sufficient answer for Linda. "When did the plan begin?" 6 months ago. At first I was just thinking about divorce, but considering alimony and custody. You thought it would be easier to kill us." Mike nodded. At that moment, his expression didn't retain even a fragment of the gentleness Linda had once loved. When she finished the meeting and went outside, Linda took a deep breath. The air felt fresh. She had also received word from the hospital that Emma's recovery was going well. According to the doctor, early treatment meant there would be no after effects. Linda looked at her cell phone. She deleted Mike's number. Then she began thinking about a new life with Emma. That night, sitting by Emma's bedside at the hospital, Linda gazed at her daughter's sleeping face. Fortunately, Emma didn't yet understand the full scope of the incident. The day would come when she would have to explain it, but for now, she just wanted to be grateful that they were both alive. "Mommy will absolutely protect Emma." Linda made a vow while holding her daughter's hand. 10 years of marriage had ended, but their life as mother and daughter was just beginning. A few days later, Mike and Jessica were formally charged with attempted murder and insurance fraud. Linda consulted with a lawyer and began divorce proceedings. At the same time, she decided to leave the house she had grown accustomed to for a new life with Emma. The truth was painful, but Linda chose to keep walking forward. 1 year later, in the fall, Linda was drinking warm coffee on the balcony of a small apartment in San Diego, watching the sunset. Emma was playing with new friends at a nearby park. Their new life was quiet and peaceful. The final court hearing had ended 3 months ago. Mike and Jessica each received 15-year prison sentences for attempted murder. Mike continued to apologize while crying until the end, but Linda couldn't look at him in the courtroom. The man she had loved for 10 years no longer existed. The child Jessica gave birth to was put up for adoption immediately after birth. The 3-year-old's secret child was placed in a child welfare facility. Thinking about the innocent children's future pained Linda's heart. "Mom, I'm home." Emma returned from the park. She had a more mature expression than before. She had gradually explained the incident in age-appropriate ways, but Emma showed surprising understanding. "Did you have fun?" "Yes. I played catch with Sarah. Sarah invited me to her birthday party." Seeing Emma's bright smile, Linda felt truly relieved. Her daughter had adapted to the new environment, made friends, and was growing up healthily. After dinner, mother and daughter sat side by side on the sofa watching TV. Emma suddenly turned toward Linda. "Mom, what is a real family?" Linda momentarily stopped breathing. She knew the day would come when Emma would ask this question, but when actually asked, she was at a loss for words. "Why are you suddenly asking that?" "Sarah's mom and dad are always together and take really good care of Sarah." "But our dad..." Emma's voice became small. Linda drew her daughter close. "A real family isn't just about blood relations. A real family is people who can cherish each other's lives. Cherish each other's lives. Yes. People who don't hurt each other and can wish for each other's happiness. Emma and Mommy have that kind of relationship, don't we? Emma nodded. Mommy protected me. I'll always protect you. Emma is Mommy's most precious treasure. That night, after putting Emma to bed, Linda went out on the balcony alone. Looking up at the starry sky, she reflected on the past year. The divorce proceedings were complicated, but thanks to an excellent lawyer, Linda was able to recover most of her assets. Due to evidence of insurance fraud, the life insurance policies Mike had contracted without permission were invalidated, and her inherited property was also protected. At her new workplace hospital, colleagues welcomed her warmly. No one pried into her past, and Linda was able to concentrate on her work. At Emma's school too, the homeroom teacher provided special consideration, and her daughter smoothly adapted to the new environment. Sometimes she would remember the happy days with Mike. However, knowing now that all those memories were lies, she could no longer feel nostalgic about them. Instead, Linda chose to continue walking toward the future. From the balcony, she could see the park. It was the place where Emma had played with friends during the day. She felt like she could hear her daughter's laughter, and Linda smiled. The next morning, she had breakfast with Emma at a nearby cafe. The quiet time with just the two of them was more precious than anything to Linda. Mom, we're happy today too. At Emma's casual words, tears welled up in Linda's eyes. Yes. We're very happy. Certainly, they had lost many things. However, they had been able to protect the most important things, each other's lives and love. That was the true meaning of happiness. The morning sun streaming through the cafe window warmly illuminated the smiles of mother and daughter. A new day was beginning. And Linda and Emma's new life would continue, filled with hope.